Have a look at this beautiful river. You can see the water gushing. It's all moving in the same direction. Where does the water come from? And where does it go? How does it get there? Does the river look the same from the beginning to the end? Today we're going to find out a little bit more about rivers and the different features of them as they change through the different stages of the river. Okay, so from your brand new packs that you should have picked up at the end of last week, you need 3 sheets. You need this sheet, which was in your big pack of paper, which is river features. And you should have 2, let me get rid of that one so it doesn't confuse us. You should have 2 here about land height and rivers. Now these come from this atlas. So again, we have got lots of information. Let me check you can see that whole page pretty much about how maps work and what the different areas and different features are called. So I started just giving you this one about rivers, but actually this one here with the land height is really lovely because it shows you where the high mountains are and how it goes down, how the land gets lower and lower and lower until it gets to sea level, and it compares that to the sort of key you'd see on a map. Okay, so the rivers start up here. They start up high in the mountains generally. Sometimes they bubble out of a spring, so an underground spring. Sometimes it's just an accumulation of water which then forms a stream and begins to trickle down. Now you can imagine at the beginning the streams are quite small but often powerful. The water moves fast because it's going quickly downhill. Okay, so along this river, still in fairly high land. Now this river opens out into a lake. Okay, now as you might also be able to see, you might get little trickles of streams joining the river. So this one opens out into a lake. Not all rivers will do that. Okay, then just like the Seven Sisters, near the Seven Sisters at Cuckmere Haven, this begins to bend. The water bends into what we call meanders. And then we reach the mouth of the river. It's called the mouth because basically it opens up into the sea or the ocean. So the features of the rivers is what we are really beginning to look at today. So I've said a couple of times now, the place where the river starts, we call that the source. This is a mountain source in North Wales, and you can see how quickly the water moves. We have streams, we might have a lake. A gorge is where it cuts deep between the different parts of the land and makes a big channel. Waterfalls are where the streams cascade over harder rocks, so they would drop. These are waterfalls in Yorkshire. You can see where the water is wearing away at the rocks. So I just said there, where it bends around harder rock, it's the meanders, and it makes the valley wider because it moves a bit more slowly by the time it gets here to the middle course. These are the meanders at Cuckmere Haven. You can see how windy the river is. And then this here on either side of the river is called the floodplain. So when there is a lot of rain, this land will flood over. And again, you can see that really clearly at Cuckmere Haven. On the left, you can see the River Cuckmere, and then in the middle of the picture, you can see the floodplains. See how the fields are underwater. The estuary is where the river gets really shallow. There's lots of sand and mud, and the water moves quite slowly. This is the estuary at Cuckmere Haven, where it meets the sea. So your task is to look at these terms here. Some of them are on here, which will help you. Other ones are not. You might need to look them up either online or in a dictionary. So you can either cut these words out, put them where you think they should be, or you can write the words straight on if you're feeling more confident. Start with the easy ones. I won't tell you which the easy ones are. You can work that out for yourself, and then you can move on to the harder ones. The answers are coming up. Please have a go first, see how many you can get on your own. Right, year 3, have you had a good go on your own? If not, pause the video and go and have a go. If you've had a really good go, let's try together. So some of these, as I said, are super easy. I know that the beginning of the river is the source. Let me look on my list of words. Oh yes, that's where source is. I'm going to tick it off and I'm going to confidently write the word source here. Remember, you can cut them out and stick them as well. Now, it's a little hard to see, but this is where the water is crashing down. We saw a picture of that, didn't we? Can you remember what it's called? That's right.
Also, if you're feeling confident, you can write them in straight away. So copy them out from the box. Okay, answers coming up in a moment.
Okay, now curvy river, just like at Cuckmere Haven, which is near the Seven Sisters. We know that that is the meander. That is the meander. So we're going to tick that one off and we're going to put the meander here. And of course, at any point, I can double check on my sheet here. Oh yes, look, this is the meander. It's going round the curve. Okay, we also learned about the floodplain, didn't we? Now I know, looking at my map, that the floodplain is actually going to be on the land. It's on the land at the side of the river. So this arrow is pointing to the land. So that must be the floodplain. Oops. There we go, tick that off. Okay, so this is the very last part of the river. So I think this is going to be the mouth. That's the very closest to the sea. So I'm going to put in there that that is the mouth of the river. Right. Have I ticked that off? No, I haven't yet. Now, this is one that we didn't actually cover, but maybe you found it. The confluence is where the rivers join together. So where large rivers join together is called a confluence. So I'm going to tick that one and I'm going to put the word confluence up here. There are some quite fancy words in this, aren't there? Okay. Now, for here, there's a few ones that I'm not sure of, that we haven't done. Now, we have done estuary, but maybe is this the estuary or is this the estuary? I'm not entirely sure, so I'm going to do a bit more research. Now, I know there's a funny one here that I do know, which is the Oxbow Lake. And this, which looks like a moon, is an oxbow lake. At one point, the river would have flowed all the way around here, but gradually it's worn a path away from this curve, away from this meander, and this has become a little lake all on its own, and that's called an oxbow lake. So I need to do a little bit more thinking, so let me tick my oxbow lake, about channel, delta, estuary and levee. So I'm going to get out my dictionary, and I've borrowed a dictionary from Year 6, and I'm going to look up delta. Now, I know it's something to do with the mouth of the river, but like I said, there's a few things together that it could be, so let's check. Delta. Keep going. There we go. So, delta is a triangular area at the mouth of the river where it spreads into branches. Ah, right, I've seen that on my picture. Brilliant. So this part here, where it spreads out and it's all the little sort of islands in the mouth of the river, that is going to be the delta. Oops, I've left out an L. Even Mrs. Davis makes mistakes sometimes, which means that this part must be the estuary, because we know the estuary is just before the mouth of the river. So the delta, the mouth and the estuary. If you've got those slightly different ways around, don't worry too much, because they're all basically the parts of the river that come right at the end before it meets the sea. So now I've only actually got 2 arrows left. I've got channel and levee. Channel and levee. So I've got to look those up. I'm thinking this must be the channel, because the channel makes you think of an area of water in between 2 sides. But let's have a little check. Channel. Now, there's all sorts of meanings of the word channel, so this might not actually be very helpful, but let's have a look. There we go. A stretch of water joining two seas. Well, there isn't a channel like that. Or, oh, here we go. A way for water to flow along a part of a river or sea that's deep enough for ships to sail on. Okay, so I think that channel must be this part here. It's definitely part of the sea rather than part of the land. So I'm going to write channel here. Now, I've actually had a look in my dictionary and it hasn't got this word, levee, so I need to do another bit of research to do that. So I'm going to look it up on Google and find out what that means. I'm pretty sure it's these bits by the side of the river, but what does it actually mean? So when I looked up levee, I came up with this photo and this definition. It's where they build up the banks of the river to stop the river from flooding, as you can see in this picture here. So as we thought, levee does go here, so we can tick off our final one. So there should be some words that you knew there, but hopefully you've learned some new words today as well, and you can use them now when talking about river features. Okay, look forward to seeing you soon. Bye-bye.